Hey, this is Wes McDermott, and in this UnityCookie.com tutorial, we're going to take a look at creating some real-time polygon hair. So if we're going to zoom in on this guy, this is a character I created, and you can see that I've got some hair. And what we're going to do in this video is we're going to go through the workflow and my process for creating hair like this. And so if I select this hair, you can see that what it is just a bunch of polygon bands or strips here that have a hair texture with transparency mapped to it. So it's a very traditional technique, and it's actually very simple to do. And I'm just going to showcase for you my workflow for doing this. Now, in the case of this video, I'm actually using Maya, but that's all right. This is it doesn't matter if you're using Maya or not. I'm not going to do anything that's Maya specific. This is a very straightforward generic technique that will carry over to any 3D application. Just be sure, or you're more than welcome to follow along in whatever 3D application that you want. And again, like I said, we'll keep this really nice and generic. So if I start to kind of rotate this guy into a side view, you can see. Basically the kind of the silhouette that we're getting with this hair and how I was able to rotate these polygons around, and it works pretty good. As we start to rotate the back, you can see that it fills in pretty nicely. And then again, like I said, I'm just going to show you this workflow. So to start this off, what we're going to do is we're just going to start with this kind of blank head here. So we've got just the head, and we're going to just concentrate on creating these polygons for this. Okay, so first thing we need is a strip of polygons. So what I'm going to do is grab hold of this quad draw tool, and I'm going to drop myself into like a front view, and I'm just going to create a strip of polygons. So in your 3D program, all you want to do is just any way that you can create some polygons. That's the tool that you want to use. So here in Maya, I'm using quad draw. This is Maya 2014. If you're watching this and you are a Maya user, so I'm using the new modeling toolkit. All right, so what I'm going to do is start to just click a couple vertices here in my viewport, like this, hold down shift and left click, and then I would go ahead and make myself two quad polygons here. Now another thing I want to do is insert an edge loop down the middle, so I want to split this. So here with quad draw, I'm just going to hold down shift and left click, and now I've made a division here. And then I'm just going to go hold down the middle mouse button here and go into vertex tweak mode. So all I'm doing at this point is just rearranging these polygons into a shape that kind of looks like a leaf, like a leaf on a plant. So we're just going to kind of move this around a little bit like this. And I'm just kind of going for this shape like this here. And so let's just kind of get this into position enough. Okay, so if we go ahead and look at this guy from a perspective view, go into our object mode here, you can see that we basically have this shape. It's just a flat polygon facing down the z-axis. So the next thing we want to do is I'm just going to shape it a little bit more. So I'm going to go into vertex mode. I'm going to select the vertices on the edges and then pull it back into the z-axis. The idea here is that if I go and look at this from like a top view, I just want to create like a little arc like this here. And then I'm going to do the same thing from, let's just go into like a left view, so a side view here. I'm going to grab these middle, pull this out here, pull this like this, and I'm just kind of pulling this stuff into position. And then so again here what I'm doing is just putting another kind of arc bend in it this way, and that's probably good enough. So let's just go into this let's go into this view. One other thing real quick, I'm going to grab this base, and I just kind of want to shrink this in just a little bit, and I think these two are just a little too wide. So let's just grab these and just taper the top a little bit. So there we go, that's probably fine. So what I have here is just this quad strip. If you look at this right now, it's made up of really the edges here that we see. So you got these edges here. These are all really hard edges. So what you want to do in your program is you just want to smooth this vertex smooth these guys. So here in mine, I'm just going to come up to normals and do a soften edge, and then we smooth that out. So if we have that guy selected and we'll focus on it here, you can see that we get this polygon, these 4 polygons, and they're just smooth. Just using some vertex smoothing angle on that. The next thing I want to do is, if we notice with this guy selected, his pivot point's all the way over here in the center. So just the way I created this here in Maya, the pivot's off. So what we want to do is align this pivot. So here in Maya, I'm just going to hold the D key on the keyboard to go into my pivot mode. Hold down V to turn on Vertex Snapping and just snap that pivot straight to that first vertice here that we have that's part of that dividing edge loop down the middle. And so now what this gives me is a better action center here. So if I go into my rotation mode, you can see that I can rotate and pivot this hairband right from the base. So it's going to make it very easy for me to place the hair onto the head. And so now that we've got this in place, let's just go ahead and size it. So it's a little too big. Let me just scale it down just a bit. here. So again, this is not going to be like a single hair strand. This is going to be like a strip of polys. These strip of polys is going to make up several strands. So basically, I'm going to map some painted texture transparency onto this. And so we just want to get it to where it's going to cover a nice like kind of clump area of hair, but we don't want it to be really, really large or anything. Now, if you're wanting to save on polygons, you could make it a little bit larger, but in this case, I'm probably going to do something like this. So now that I have that in place, what I want to do is, if on your program, you just want to make sure that you're scaling. If you don't want to have like this kind of you want your scale to be all set to 1. So here in mine, I'm just going to freeze transformations on that. And then Maya, it has history, so you can see that it's retaining a lot of the edits I've been making. So I want to just go ahead and just delete the history on that. So now we've got this piece, and I'll probably just go ahead and name this. We'll just call it hairband or whatever. And so now we have this hairband. And then what we can do, you know what, before we do this, let's do one other thing. If we go into my UV texture editor, you can see that I don't have any UVs for this guy. Now, it'd be, since we're going to be duplicating this all over the mesh, it'd be a really good idea to go ahead and just make some UVs real quick. So we don't have to worry about doing that for multiple objects later or transferring them from one object to several. So let's just do that real quick. The way I handle this is just a simple planar projection. So I'm going to come to my Create UVs, planar mapping. You can see here in mine, I'm just going to say from the z-axis. So we'll go straight down the z-axis. I'll apply on that. And if we kind of look at this in the UV view, I've got some UVs. Since I had done some bending on the vertices and things like that, it's a little bit off, or the vertices, the UVs are. So another thing that I do is just I grab my smooth UV tool, and it's going to unfold this guy. And then that's going to, if you can see, like, whenever you're doing your UV mapping, you want the UVs to kind of look, scale-wise, the UVs to kind of match the polygon counterparts, get less distortion that way. So now that we got this in place, let's just go ahead and select all these UVs, and what we're going to do is just scale this down like so, and then we're just going to move it off to the side. We're going to actually do this offset technique in a little while once we have all the hair in, so you can see that a way to give it some variation. So I'll talk about that in a little bit, but for now, we just want to have ourselves some room over in this UVs. So let's grab this guy. Before I move forward, I'll just do a quick save on my project, and now we're ready to start placing this stuff. So I'm going to grab my move tool, and I'm just going to place this up into my scalp. Now here in Maya, what I'm going to do that by just using Vertex Snapping. So again, I'm going to hold down the V key and just snap it to some vertices on the head. Hold down F to focus in on this. And so now you can see that we've got this this poly strip here at the top of the head, and it's been snapped. That vertex was snapped to one of the vertices in the head. If I grab the rotation tool, you can see that because of the way we put the pivot, it's going to make it really nice for me to pivot, rotate, and kind of place this hair where I want it to go. So now we've got the strand created, we've got it UV mapped, we're ready. Here, I'm going to go ahead and delete history on this guy again, get rid of that projection node. So now we're ready to go ahead and start placing this stuff. So one way that you could do this, or right off the bat, is kind of the manual way. We've got a piece, we've got this strip here, we could just duplicate it and then move it off and then rotate and put it into place. Duplicate it, move it, rotate and put it in place. And the way our pivot is, that's going to be fairly easy to do, to kind of put the hair where we want it to go. So we'll duplicate again. And what we can do is, if I do it via this way, I use Vertex Snapping to kind of keep that on the surface. So if I just, that way, see that's kind of digging into the model. I'll just hold down the V key again, use Vertex Snapping to kind of keep that into place a little bit. And then I'll just start to kind of rotate this stuff around as I move it in. Let's see, let's pull this guy out. Whoops. Let's grab that guy. We'll kind of pull him out. Yeah, kind of lost that guy. Just going to delete him. Duplicate it. Just kind of move this guy down. And you can see what I'm doing here. Again, just kind of rotating and moving things into place to kind of put this geometry around like this. So what we're going to do, and then really you just go through the manual process of just kind of overlapping this stuff and getting it to to look the way you want it to do. And it's tedious, but it's actually nothing hard about it. It's really easy. It just takes some time to do this. But anyways, that's one way that you could work with this. So another way to do this is if you have, whoops, let me undo all this stuff here. So another way to do this because that's a real pain, is to use some type of method to paint this geometry across the entire surface. And so most 3D applications have some type of mechanism for doing a geometry paint. So basically being able to distribute a polygon object across the surface of another polygon object. Maya has, if you're familiar with Maya, Maya has the bonus tools. So the bonus tools that you can download from the area have a geometry paint tool within that you can use that works. But there's also a Mel script out there called SB Paint that's actually a really good tool, and I use that all the time. So I'm going to showcase that one here. So in your 3D program, what you're going to want to do is see if you've got some type of tool that allow you to paint geometry across the surface. If you don't, what you could do is just go into that manual, cut, copy, paste, move and rotate to put things into place, and just quickly just place those across the mesh. Not hard to do, just kind of tedious and boring. But in our case, what we're going to use is this script, and in the thread for the video, I'll actually put the link to where this script is. So what I did was it's a simple Mel script, downloaded it from creativecrash.com, installed it into Maya, and placed the command right here on my modeling shelf. So I'm just going to run it right now, and you can see that here's what comes up. It's SP Paint 3D. It's again, it's free, and it's very nice. It has a lot of handy usages. You can also use, like I said, the one that comes with bonus tools, and again, check your 3D program for the ability to work with some type of paint geometry tool. So we've got this guy here selected. What I'm going to do is I'm going to add him as basically the brush geometry. So I'm just going to add that here, and you can see that it says hairband. Now I have a target surface, which is of course going to be our head. I'm just going to add that as the target surface. And now what I can do is I can actually just, here with this tool, I can grab the paint, and then I can just start painting the geometry right across like this. So you can see that it's basically distributing those polygons across the surface. And you can see how really quickly that would be to do that by using a tool like this. So another thing we might want to do in this case, if you're using Maya and you're using this tool, is threshold. It's allowing me to paint a lot of these guys rapidly, which is nice for feedback, but it may end up creating a little too much geometry, so I might increase that threshold a little bit, so now it's creating a little less for me. I've also have the ability to do some rotation stuff on this, so what I like to do on this is just do some min-max type stuff to set the minimum and maximum rotation. So on this guy, let's do a maximum rotation of, let's say, -90. And so if I start to kind of click this guy in, you can see that it starts to put some of them flat and some of them not flat. So let's say that we want a minimum of excuse me here. Let's do a minimum of -10 and a maximum of 90. And then so what I can do is just start clicking and dragging these guys across like this. So I'll tell you what I'm going to do with this. Undo some of those. I'm going to bring that threshold back down to 1 so I can paint a little bit quicker. And I'm just going to start just kind of painting in some of this stuff. Just painting in some of this geometry here, so move across. Let's see here. This tool's got a lot of different options. Let's turn on our wireframe on shaded and see what we're doing here. So one thing I might want to do is do that, and just want to start to make sure that I get my rotation stuff in order first. So I'll tell you what, let me pause this really quick and let me come up with some settings that I think is going to work, and then I'll tell you what I ended up using. Okay, so I'm back, and all I did was I just went through and just started kind of painting some of these, and I just trying to come up with some good rotation values so that I could spread these polygons. So what I ended up doing is I said on this tool, I want to rotate these guys from minimum on the X of -25 to -90, and then on the Y 45 to -90, and this kind of just gave me some interesting results. So now I'll show you what that looks like. So we can just start basically painting this stuff on. And it's just really quick way of distributing those hair polygons across the surface. And I'll do some tweaks on it after I kind of get everything in place as well. But I'll just kind of show you what it looks like as we start to just kind of put this stuff in. So again, depending on your game and what you're working on, I mean, you can see right now I'm making this way, it's very dense. I could have made that polygon strip a lot larger, so that I'm not making so many, because I mean this is our vertex count's going to be going up pretty high on this, but I wanted for this this demo here, I just wanted this to look pretty good in this guy, so that's why we're adding so many. So let's kind of make his widow peak here a little bit, And we'll go ahead and leave it like that. Throw in some more in the sides here, just kind of fill this in. So basically that's what we get here. So now I'll just drop that tool, and you can see that we got a couple of these guys that are strays out here. Let's kind of get rid of some of them. Some of them I don't like the way they are, so again we'll just do some manual rotation in here like this. Let's see, that guy I don't like. Just kind of move around the head here and see what we got. Some of these guys are sticking up too much, but that's okay because we can just go ahead and rotate these guys in manually, so we get something like this here. Actually, I'm going to go ahead and do a couple more on the side here. There we go. See how this side looks. Need a little bit of hair right there. Let me delete that one. That one's poking through the head. Let's grab this guy and just kind of rotate it up. There we go. That's alright. Let's grab this guy, put him into place like this. Okay, so here we go. Go ahead and turn this tool off. Well, got some overlap that I don't want too much overlap right here. But it's definitely not a hard process to do at all. So here we go. And we'll turn off that wireframe on shade, and so we'll take a look at this, and you can see it a little bit easier what we're doing. And I'm just making some more tweaks here. There we go. Okay. There we go. Can't stop myself. Alright, let's just come back this way. Here we go. Put that one in. Okay, so then you just kind of rotate around your model, and you can see, how quickly we're able to create some hair for this guy. This one's a little bit more scraggly than what I did the first time, and I'm actually kind of liking this a little bit better. And then again, if we turn sideways here, you can see our silhouette. We're getting a nice hair shape here as we go across. So as you can see, using that paint geometry tool really helped me to quickly lay out this hair, get it all over the top of the head, and was also a pretty organic way of working, and you get a really nice shape here. So I've got a really nice silhouette on how this hair is working. So one way we'll check that, and I'll show you, is we'll just basically have our lights here. If I just go and turn off my lights real quick. Let's see. Let's grab this. I think I might be able to just Let's adjust. Just turn these lights off here. Alright, so now that we have lights off, we'll come into our front view here, and this is going to allow us just to kind of look at the silhouette of this guy. And so as you're working and you're creating, whoops, undo that here. As you're working and you're creating things like this, you want to just kind of check your silhouette of your character. And so as you can see, as we start to rotate this around, we're getting a really nice look here and how this hair is working. So just kind of tumble around, look in your viewport, and just kind of see how things are working. So looks pretty nice. I'm pretty happy with that. And so what we're going to do next is we're going to take this. So right now, every single one of these pieces, since we just duplicate them across the surface, are now all individual pieces. So what we want to do now is combine all this into one mesh. So what I'm going to do is, well, I'll tell you what, I'm just going to select this mesh. I'm going to invert the selection here. So just shift, left click, and drag across. And now I've got all these guys separated mesh. If I go ahead and look at kind of my outliner mode, you can see all these poly surfaces are everywhere. I'm just going to combine these guys real quick. So let's just grab the combine tool here in Maya Mesh Edit, or yeah, Maya's Mesh Combine. And we combine those all into one mesh. Then what I'm going to do is just remove the history on that. And so now we'll just rename this as hair. So now we have a single object right here that has all of the polygons that are making up our hair. And so the next part of this that we want to handle is we want to just work a little bit with these UVs again. So we're going to go into the UV texture editor, And you can see that right now all these UVs are overlapped in that one spot. So remember, we duplicated all these and we placed them all in the same spot. What I'm going to do now is go into a UV mode here, and then what I like to do is just randomly go through in the viewport and just start selecting some UVs. And so, whoops, undo that. Just randomly select some UVs in here. So what I'm doing is just left click and dragging, just trying to be careful enough to, not select like a huge quadrant of them, but I'm just trying to select some as I move across. And so I'll show you what we're going to do here again. We're just going to do like a shell selection here in just a minute, and we're going to offset some of these guys. So what I'm doing, I could turn that off, I guess. Let's go over to our layer real quick. And so inside of my here, I've got this head as a separate mesh. What I can do is just reference that guy, so I can't actually select him. Dropped my selection. Okay, let's do that again. Sorry about that. Alright, so here, just real quick now, so it'll work a little bit better. So what I'm doing is just trying to randomly just kind of go through and just select just some vertices here. So I'll make sense here in just a minute. But the idea of this is to add a little bit more organic look to this. So we'll select some more of these guys. And you can always do this after you actually have the texture applied, but alright, well, we'll just use that for now. So now that I have just some of these, what I want to do is I want to select their entire shell. So I'm just going to hold down the control key and do right click and say to shell. And so now that's selected a bunch of shells. So now what I can do in my UV view is I can just move those shells over to the left. And so now some of these polygons are going to have an area that I can map right here, and some of the polygons are going to have an area that I can map here. So you can see that by these guys are selected on the left, and you can see what they're selecting, the actual 3D geometry they're selecting over here. And if we select these guys, go into our UV mode here, and we select these guys, you can see the UVs that they're selecting on this side. And we can offset these again if we want to. But basically what it's going to do is going to allow us to paint two maps. So basically two strands or clumps of hair, and we can paint them, we can even color them a little bit differently. We can, vary it up a little bit, and that's going to cause some nice variation in our model. So now that we've got our hair, we've got our UVs in place, we've got everything done. What I'm going to do at this point is just kind of save where we are, and now we're going to export those UVs. I do a UV snapshot. I'm going to export those over to Photoshop. I'm going to show you how I painted the hair. Okay, so here we are in Photoshop, and what we're going to do is I've got just this generic background. I've got my UV layer here that I did a UV snapshot so we can know what we're painting on. And so I'm going to create a new layer, and now we're just going to paint we're going to paint some hair strokes or whatever. And so to do that, I just grabbed the brush tool here, and underneath my brushes, I've got these three brushes. So this one right here is basically like my medium brush. This is like my base shape brush, and then I've got this one that's like a single, that's basically stands for like a single follicle, and that's kind of like my fine-tuned brush. And let me show you how I created these guys real quick. It's real simple. What I did was I started off at just like a 100 by 100 pixel document, and we'll just kind of zoom in so you can see this. And if we take a look at let's see here, we've got the let's do our base shape one. So if you look at this, all it is just a bunch of dots. And so I'll just go ahead and just kind of fill that in here so you can see what it is. That's all it is, just a bunch of dots. So what I did was I started with just a basic brush like this, and made it real small, and then just kind of added some dots across like this. And these are basically going to stand in for like the hair follicles. And then I did the same thing for the medium brush. So the medium brush ends up being just three of these guys. So I just did something like that. And then for the fine-tuned brush, I did a single. And I just made like a slight little shape like this. And I saved all these guys out. So I would select my document by hitting Apple A or Control A on the PC. And then coming over here and saying File, Edit. Wait a minute. Yeah, here it is. Define Brush Preset. And then I would just save this as like, my hairbrush or whatever. And then when I go back to this document, I would then have these brushes available to me. And I'll include these three brushes here as part of the download for this video. Okay, so first thing I would do is, like I said, I'd have a blank layer, and I would start with probably like my shape brush, like this. And then the process is just going through and just starting to just, get your pen and just starting to draw out some hair shapes. And you can see that that brush creates a very nice hair look and feel to it. And then I'm just kind of just doing like these kind of S pattern type strokes here as I go across. And the idea is just to build it up little by little, just using a solid white color on a blank layer, and you're just kind of building up your texture. Then what I can do is maybe grab hold of the medium level brush, and you can see that I can get a little bit more kind of wispy feel at the top. So I just kind of go through and do that. And then finally, if I ever want to do like any real fine tune, I can just use my single brush, and you can see that that single brush is just, it lets me do like just individual hairs. And you can see that as I start to kind of just build this up and just kind of like almost in a way kind of crosshatch these things, you can see that you can get some really nice hair build up. So once I did this, and let's just go through and do it just a little bit more on this bottom. So here we go. We're just kind of building this thing up. And so once I kind of went through and did this, the next part of this is I would go on this layer and I would turn on preserve transparency. So what I'm going to do is in the end when I export this out is like basically like a hair opacity map. I'm going to export it out basically, with the transparency in the background. So I'm going to use the transparency of the PNG file also as kind of like the alpha map. And so with transparency locked on this guy, what I can then do is just use one of the same brushes, and then I can pick like this gray or a darker gray, and then I can just go back through the strokes, and this is where I can almost start to kind of colorize it. Now this was what I was doing for this guy, and the reason why I started with white is because I was just kind of going through and trying to get like this kind of salt and pepper type look, since the character I was creating was like this old man. So then I just kind of go through back through these strokes, and you can see that I can build up some nice variation in this as well. And so the other part of this that's interesting, and here let's turn off preserve transparency. We'll go back. Let's see, let's make sure that we're on white here. So what we can do is we can go back, and on this other side of the UVs, like I was telling you, we can now go and draw a different type pattern or shape to this. So maybe this time we'll do something where we'll use maybe the fine-tune brush at first, just to kind of build up our shape. And so this is that variation I was talking about. So some of the polygons are going to be mapped with what you see on this side here, and some of the polygons are being mapped with the texture that we see on this side here. So you're getting kind of like this variation in the texture, and that's very important. And so everything just doesn't look like we just took a single polygon and just duplicated it like all over the place and mapped a single texture onto it. So then what I would do is just go through the same process, just make this side a little bit more, just different strokes, and by the very nature of doing this by hand, you're going to get a different look each time you do this. So then I would go through and do the same thing, and then paint that. So just to save time on all that, I'll show you what I did was, here's one that I actually used. So this is one shape of the hair that I ended up using. And so what we can do with this guy is we can save him out, and we can create ourselves the mask that we want. So like I said before, is I would just turn off all these guys, and I would have this image right here. So then what I would do is I'll just save this on my desktop as just hair PNG. So we'll save it as a PNG so we have the transparency, and make sure that's PNG. And so we'll just save that. And then we'll import this in here into Maya. Before we do that though, one of the things I want to do is I also want to make kind of a specularity map, and I'm going to cheat this a little bit on this. So for this bottom layer, I'm going to go ahead and fill that with black. And I'm going to take this guy, and what I'm going to do is just use a levels control, and I'm just going to kind of increase my levels on this and decrease it. And then the other thing I might do real quick is just do adjustment and just take this guy down, just drop all the saturation. So we'll make it black and white. And then what we'll do, again, we'll just kind of crush this down a little bit. So we kind of pull this in, and there we go. This will be good enough for this. So you can see that the idea was to, here, let's also do one other thing real quick. Let's just grab our dodge tool, or no, actually our burn tool, and then see if we can't just grab ourselves kind of just like a normal size brush here. See if we can, yeah, whoops, it's too much on that guy. I'm using the paintbrush. Let's make sure that we have the burn. Actually, I think we want the dodge. Let's grab the right brush, grease it up. And then the idea of what I'm doing here is just trying to get kind of like this middle piece a little bit more highlighted. So I'm kind of just faking that kind of anisotropic kind of highlight that you'll get from hair strands. And so I'm just basically, in a sense, like hard texturing that in right across the middle here. So I'm just using just a quick way of doing that is to kind of get that sheen across the middle. So then we'll just take this and use this. So now we'll take this guy and save this out as hair, and we'll just say underscore spec, and again let's do PNG on this guy as well and save it on the desktop. And then what we'll do is we'll jump back over to Maya and we'll apply these maps. Okay, so here we are back in Maya, and let's go ahead and just apply our map. So we have our blend hair. I'm going to come over to the color, and I'm just going to add in that map. So let's go ahead and just give ourselves a file texture, and we'll just come out to our desktop where we threw these guys here. So we had hair, PNG, here's our hair, and we'll just open this guy up. And then what you see right off the bat is that what Maya is doing, and your 3D program may be a little different in the way that it handles this, but if you import in the PNG that has transparency in the background, Maya will go ahead and take that transparency, or that luminance, and that is transparency, and just plug that into the transparency channel. But the important thing to realize is that we're plugging this into the color, and then we're also just plugging this right in here into the transparency of that. And so here we go, we start to get kind of like that polygon hair. And we still got a couple little tweaks we're going to do on this though. So one of the things that we could do as a global change to this is it looks a little patchy. So his hair, like if we kind of look at it, it looks kind of patchy. These guys should be a little bit bigger, and you can see it's kind of real sparse in the background here. So what I'm going to do is just go into like a face mode selection on this guy, and I'm going to select all the polygons. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to scale these guys, but I'm going to scale them. So in Maya, and again, your 3D program is going to have something similar, but it may be a little different. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to scale this based off the local parameter. So what that's going to do is it's going to scale each individual polygon based off its normal. And so what you'll get is the ability for me to scale this. You can see how I'm scaling this here, and it's going to scale it. It's not going to like move its direction or offset it or anything, but it's going to scale out from the normal of each polygon. And so by doing that, and we'll pull this in, you can see that I can really start to just resize this hair and make it look pretty cool by doing that. And so now we've got his hair a little bit different. It's a little bit more kind of, it kind of looks like Doc Brown a little bit from Back to the Future. But you can see how we kind of solved a little bit of the issue of it, covering the back and things like that. And like I also told you before about that silhouette, looks pretty cool on this guy. So we'll go ahead and turn our lights on. You can see that we're getting a really cool silhouette to this guy with this polygon here. So it's really looking nice. The next part of this is we want to go ahead and add our transparency. So let's just kind of scroll down on our material, and let's pull up our here. And what I'm going to do is just make sure that I select this material. So what that does in Maya is it turns off the polygon selection here, but I'm still selecting that material so we can see what we're doing a little bit better. So if I go into this specular color and I start to pull this up, you can see that it's basically giving a specular highlight across the all of the polygons, and it looks really bad at this point. So we definitely need a specular map to this. So let's easily just add that into our specular color. So we'll again pull a file node in, and let's go and grab that guy, and this time it would be hair spec. Let's pull our spec in, and so just like that you can see that we start to get our hair specularity, and it's a bit strong. So what we're going to do is just play around with some of the settings here. So I might play with the roll off here, and that's probably going to be best. Let's turn the eccentricity up a little bit, and then we'll adjust our fall off. So there we go. So now we start to get a really cool look to that specularity as we pull across here. Now something else I'll point out, if you happen to be watching this video and you are using Maya, and if you're in viewport 2, which is going to work best for this kind of thing, you want to make sure that under viewport 2 you're working with depth peeling. So if you have it by default, I think it's set to object sorting, you can see that it's going to look really messed up because the viewport 2 can't tell which polygons are in front of each other, so you're getting like this overdraw issue. So just make sure that you basically have depth peeling enabled, and you won't have that problem. So that's going to close us out here, and how to make hair, and as you can see, it's a pretty straightforward technique, not too hard at all. It really comes down to just creating some polygon bands, arranging them across the surface of the mesh. You can do that manually just using transform and rotate, or you can find a way to paint geometry across your surface. Once you have that in place, you can then go into Photoshop, and then you can just paint some hair strands using some very simple brushes that you create. And then from there, you just kind of map that transparency map right onto the polygons, and you can see that that you get some nice polygon hair from that technique.